I left because there was no point in trying to fix something that was beyond repair.
Some family wounds don't scream. They just sit there for years, quietly shaping everything. Nicole hasn't seen her parents in 20 years. Not since the pressure, the expectations, and all the yelling pushed her out of their lives for good. So when they suddenly show up again, the past catches up fast. And what follows is awkward, sad, and painful, but somehow still exactly what they all needed. It starts like any other Watterson errand. Nicole's doing everything she can to keep the family on budget, swatting candy and cookies out of the cart like a ninja with bills to pay. It's the end of the month, and her pay is peanuts, literally.
That's not a figure of speech, by the way.
But then, her instincts kick in. She sniffs out a bargain. One dusty pallet of corned beef, wedged under a shelf from the 1960s.
Well, they're from the 60s. But look, only 20 cents for the whole pallet.
Until someone else grabs it from the other side. A tug-of-war begins.
Hey, this is our food for the next month!
Back up, lady! We saw it first!
The shelf collapses. And then she sees who was on the other end. Her parents. Two faces she hasn't seen in 20 years. Two people she spent even longer trying to forget. And then, Gumball invites them over to the house. On the drive home, Nicole stares straight ahead, gripping the wheel like it's the only thing keeping her together.
How could you kids invite them to the house?
And that reason was 2 decades of Christmas presents, of course. Nicole doesn't yell, doesn't scream, but you can feel the storm brewing. In the silence that follows, Richard starts mumbling. Not to Nicole, but to a can of corned beef. He rambles about things being hard on the outside, soft on the inside. Nicole, thinking he's speaking to her, takes a breath, and for a moment, she lets herself feel it. She admits the truth.
There's so much bad history between us. I mean, we stopped talking over 20 years ago.
But then, softer, barely above a whisper,
I'll try my best to be open.
because that's who Nicole is. No matter how angry she gets, no matter how deep the scar, there's still a sliver of hope that things can be different. And that's all it takes. A crack in the wall. A step toward something new. And even though Richard was talking to a can of corned beef, his words make sense.
Let's give this another chance. Why won't you open up? Why are you always so hard inside?
That's Nicole. All armor and discipline on the surface, but underneath it all, someone who still wants to be understood, still wants to be seen, still wants her parents to care. She doesn't say any of that out loud. She just grips the steering wheel a little tighter and drives. Back toward the house. Back toward the people she spent her whole life running from. And maybe, just maybe, toward something she didn't even know she missed. Back at the house, the atmosphere is thick. Nicole's parents sit stiffly on the couch like guests at the wrong address. Nicole stands in the corner, arms crossed. No one knows what to say. Then Gumball, in classic Gumball fashion, tries to lighten the mood. One joke. Just one.
I like my coffee the way I like jokes about the way I like my coffee. I don't.
And the whole thing explodes.
Oh,
Just like when you crack it!
Shouting, accusations, decades of resentment spilling out like a dam finally cracked. Richard then pulls Gumball aside and calmly explains that it didn't explode because of his joke, it was something else. And that's the heart of it, isn't it? Two sides, both convinced they've been wronged, both hurt, waiting for the other side to say sorry first. So the Wattersons do the only thing that sounds logical to them. They turn it into a trial.
I mean, we asked Mrs. Mom, Grandpa Daniel, and Granny Mary to air their issues, and we'll decide who's in the wrong.
Nicole and her parents take turns, turning past pain into evidence, and what unfolds next is messy, ridiculous, and painfully familiar. Nicole goes first.
You have always been disappointed in me.
She doesn't yell, she doesn't cry, she simply lists the clothes they made her wear, the clubs she never wanted to join, the pressure to be perfect in everything, from her grades to her blood type. Literally, her blood type is A+ because they expected nothing less.
Because you always had insane expectations for me.
She tells them how they named her Doctor, not as a joke, as a goal,
Nicole is my middle name. My first name is Doctor.
and how even as a child, she never felt like one. Every success wasn't a celebration, it was a checkbox. You did well? Good. Now do better. And slowly, that turned into something else. Something darker. Resentment. Her parents tried to defend themselves. They say they just wanted her to succeed, to be the best, and maybe they did. But Nicole didn't feel loved.
Nothing was ever enough!
She felt sculpted, polished, programmed, and somewhere along the way, that brilliant, driven little girl stopped being their daughter and started being their project. That's what hurts the most. Not that they pushed her, but that they never even asked if she was okay being pushed. Nicole's words hang in the air, sharp but true. Her parents sit in silence for a moment, their faces unreadable. Then Mary, her mother, finally speaks.
Well, you're hardly easy yourself.
It's not said cruelly, it's not said to deflect, it's said like someone remembering how overwhelmed they once felt, and still do. She talks about an old painting. It's a Mother's Day gift from Nicole's childhood, just a page filled with finger-painted thumbs down. A protest, a tiny rebellion from a girl who already felt unheard. Nicole's parents try to explain. They weren't trying to hurt her. They were trying to give her everything they never had. The best schools, the highest standards, the clearest path to success. And yes, it came out twisted. Fear makes people overcorrect. And maybe, just maybe, they were afraid of what she'd become if they didn't push hard enough. Then they bring up the other side of things, the moments that broke them.
I spent years fixing the consequences of your outburst.
Nicole's temper, her fists, the neighbor's car she kicked beyond repair, the classmate she landed in the hospital, the time she stole their car just to see Richard, which ended in court. And for a second, Nicole doesn't argue, because they're not wrong, they're just incomplete. All of them are carrying parts of the truth, and none of it is the whole story. At this point, Nicole's not just defending herself anymore, she's remembering. Then she says it.
You always disapproved of Richard. You never thought he was good enough for me.
Her parents hesitate, not because it's untrue, but because it still stings. Nicole turns to Richard.
No offense, but we always thought she could do better than a slacker with a dead-end job who got their pants at the Army surplus store in the parachute aisle.
Not even denying it. She's reinforcing it. And Richard, he just jokes. Something about not having a job, trying to soften the blow. But it doesn't land. Not this time. Nicole's father speaks up, confronting Nicole for walking out of their lives and leaving them behind. And Nicole drops arguably the hardest line of this episode.
I left because there was no point in trying to fix something that was beyond repair.
And then softer.
I wanted to start over and create something better.
And maybe she did. But even then, the pain lingers. The biggest day of her life, and her parents weren't there.
You never even came to our wedding.
But unbeknownst to Nicole, her parents tried. Really tried. She explains, they misread the invitation and flew to a town far away.
Oh, right. Well, we went to the town of Rusvik in Moldavia.
It sounds ridiculous, almost funny, but no one laughs, because no matter how absurd the reason, they still weren't there. They missed her most important day, and what happened after made it even worse. As a gift for their first wedding anniversary, Nicole's parents send over a gift.
Wait, is that why you sent Richard and I divorce papers for our first anniversary?
And Nicole had fired back by sending them retirement home leaflets. Her parents fire back. Nicole counters again, over and over again. A spiral of flashbacks and backhanded gestures, each one pettier and more absurd than the last, until suddenly, it stops. Her father tries to recall what started it all.
That was after... I don't remember.
But he can't. None of them can. And that's the heartbreaking truth. After all these years, all this tension, and the original wound, forgotten. That's when the room falls still. Not from exhaustion, from realization, because if you can't remember the reason for the pain, maybe it's time to stop carrying it. And that's when Darwin, softly, asks the obvious.
Why are you still angry at each other? Why can't you just make peace?
Nicole, like she had always done, counters.
We were at peace, Darwin. Separately.
And for a moment, it feels like that's all it'll ever be. Two sides, two stories, too much time passed. There's no apology.
I think we should go.
No grand declaration. Just Gumball singing, and the sound of footsteps fading down the front path. Nicole's parents are leaving, and this time, it feels final. The show brought the parents back after 20 estranged years, only for them to become estranged again. Nicole watches them go, stiff, proud, quiet. But something flickers in her eyes. It's not anger, it's not relief, it's disappointment. And beneath that, hurt. She sits there for a moment, frozen in it, until something shifts. Maybe it's the years they lost. Maybe it's the years they still have. And Gumball's song continues. It's clumsy. It's earnest. It's definitely about overdue Christmas presents. But somehow, it works. Because it's not really about the gifts. It's about what's been missing. Outside, Nicole's parents stop driving. They turn. They remember. Not the fights, not the failures, but their daughter. They arrive at the doorstep again. And for once, no one talks over the other. Mary opens her mouth to explain, but Nicole cuts her off.
But I don't want to hear your excuses. I just want you guys back.
And that's it. No more scorekeeping. No more who hurt who. Just a hug. Tight, trembling, real. It's not a perfect ending, but it's a start. Now, there's a lot of criticism surrounding this episode. Like how it's unrealistic that her parents went to a town called RSVP because of a wedding invitation. Or that suddenly no one remembers why they've been holding a grudge for 20 years. But I think that's exactly the point of this episode. It's easy to think the past has all the answers. That if you just trace every hurt, every misstep, you'll finally understand who was right. But sometimes, there is no right. Just a long chain of moments where no one really knew what to do and kept making things worse. Nicole's story isn't just about a broken relationship with her parents. It's about expectations that crush love. About pride that buries regret. About the little ways families slowly fall apart without ever meaning to. But maybe the biggest lesson is that sometimes we carry anger for so long, we forget what we're even angry about. We build entire identities around the pain until letting go feels like losing a part of ourselves. But forgiveness for everything? It doesn't always mean forgetting what happened. It means choosing to stop reliving it. To say, this is where it ends. And sometimes, that's all it takes. A step. A hug. A song about overdue presents.
You really summed up their relationship with each other and helped them reconnect.
Because the people who hurt you aren't always villains. Sometimes they're just hurt too, and just want to come home. Now, if family tension hit you hard in this Gumball episode, just wait until you see the time Jake tried to bring his best friend and girlfriend together, and ended up feeling like the odd one out. Click here to watch the episode where jealousy, love, and friendship all collide, and what it teaches about feeling left behind.